I don't want to make this video. I really don't. Because if you've been a fan of this channel for a while, you know my attachment to the Robertson brothers and them as a hockey duo, as two Filipino-Americans who forged their way into hockey stardom. I personally was born in the Philippines, and I immigrated to Canada as a young baby in the early 2000s. So, for me, seeing that is really cool, seeing the Filipinos represented in the NHL and having these two guys as the frontrunners in that conversation. So even though Jason Robertson has been an absolute monster in the National Hockey League, I've always been a fan of his younger brother Nick. And seeing what he was capable of doing, seeing the skill, seeing the feistiness, seeing the quick skating, even though he was a smaller guy, Nick Robertson has been one of my favorite prospects in the NHL the past few years. And this update from David Pagnotta on the fourth period is a pretty disheartening one to hear, but it's one where if you take a look at the team he is on, the Toronto Maple Leafs, it might actually make a bit of sense. So, there was a video posted by Pagnotta on Twitter yesterday. With the summer chatter still sizzling after the holidays, here's a quick update on the Carolina Hurricanes Tarasenko and Pesce trade talk, San Jose Sharks defenseman Erik Carlsson discussions with Carolina and the Penguins, and the Toronto Maple Leafs cap issues and Nylander Matthews. This video will be linked in the description if you want to go ahead and watch it. It's 4 minutes long. It's Pagnotta just doing the talking head monologue the entire time, so it's a pretty interesting watch. But we had ourselves Maple Leafs news, Buds all day, who went out there and pretty much paraphrased a lot of what it is that Pagnotta said in this video. Here are the Leafs notes from Pagnotta's video yesterday. William Nylander is looking for a $10 million AAV in his new contract. The Leafs are looking more at $8.5 million. Okay, we already made a video about that the other day if you wanted to go ahead and check that out. Nothing is close between Austin Matthews and the Leafs. Matthews will not take anything more than 5 years. Oh boy, that's a pretty spicy contract negotiation then, is it not? TJ Brodie and Nick Robertson are potentially being shopped, and the Leafs may include Nick Robertson as a sweetener in a Matt Murray trade if they don't buy him out. Now, as I said, this was all posted yesterday on Wednesday, and I'm currently recording this audio on Wednesday as well, so when this video goes up Thursday morning, who knows if there's actually going to be a trade or a buyout anytime soon, and this video is rendered kind of pointless, but I wanted to talk about the idea of Robertson departing the Maple Leafs and whether or not this makes sense. Now, there's a conversation to be had about TJ Brodie as well, but I wanted to talk more so about my guy. Let's talk today about Nick Robertson, because when it comes to him potentially being a sweetener in some sort of a trade, this is where things get very, very interesting. He's 21 years old, born on September 11th, 2001, 5'10", 183, so he actually did grow an inch since he was drafted by the Maple Leafs back in 2019. He's signed till the end of 2024 on an ELC of $796,000 of a cap hit. And when he's played in the AHL, he's been nothing short of spectacular. 16 points in 21 games with the Marlies in 2021. 28 points in 28 games with the Marlies in 2022. 2 points in 2 games this most previous season. He has had a very good showcase at the AHL level. But when it comes to that mainstay NHL club, he only had 15 games played this previous year, and he had 5 points. Now, a point every 3 games is not bad in the slightest, but the fact is Nick Robertson has just not found a way to stay healthy this entire time. He was drafted back in 2019, and he made his pro debut in 2019-20 when he suited up for the team in the postseason. Aside from that, though, it's been 4 years, and the guy has only played 31 NHL games. That's not ideal. And it's not because he's been sent down to the AHL and kept there either. He just really hasn't found a way to stay healthy, and as a result, the Toronto Maple Leafs don't have the utmost confidence that they can rely upon him to be that guy. Now, there are a few things that you could say Robertson helps out the Maple Leafs with. Hey, his cap hit is so cheap, so why is there a reason to trade this guy? But if you're talking about it from the perspective of a Matt Murray trade sweetener, Murray is not the guy in net for Toronto anymore. I think after seeing Joseph Woll do his thing in the postseason this previous year, a lot of Leafs fans are on board with him being the guy. Even Ilya Samsonov, that guy's still unsigned at the time of recording this audio. That could change by the time this video is uploaded, but Woll being there instilled a good amount of confidence for Leafs fans watching the team in the postseason. For Matt Murray, he's making a pretty significant dollar amount on that cap hit, $4.6 million for the former Stanley Cup championship caliber goalie. And so, when it comes to the idea of trading Murray away, it's going to be really difficult to find a team to eat that entire salary because, I mean, look, everybody watches the playoffs, right? Everybody knows that Matt Murray was not the guy anymore. Everybody knows he was outplayed. And towards the end of the previous season, he definitely was not in that position to be the number one guy. So, if a team who has some salary to burn is able to take on Matt Murray's contract and take on Nick Robertson at the same time, I could understand why a team would go out there and bite the bullet, especially since Murray is only on the books for one more year. As a result, you get yourselves a really good prospect in Robertson who has really good talent. He's got skill, he's got bite, he's got goal scoring, he's got poise. He just has not been healthy enough to even consider being a legitimate Toronto Maple Leafs forward just yet. So from another team's perspective, it's easy to see why this would be a case. But if you're Toronto, you have yourselves a pretty interesting conundrum where it's like, yeah, if Nick Robertson was healthy, this guy's probably good enough to play in the NHL. It's just how much of a guarantee is it that he'll be the guy we need? How much of a guarantee is it that he'll have that same skill level from the AHL translate into the NHL? Sure, his sample size in the NHL has been small, but it's not like it's been great. In the 31 games Nick Robertson has had at the NHL level, he only has 7 points, and 4 games and 1 goal in the playoffs. So, sure, there's a lot of potential here, but there's no guarantee as to whether or not he's ready or able to take that next step, and if that fits in with what the Toronto Maple Leafs are trying to do in the short term. Because if it does come to the ultimate doomsday scenario that Marner, Matthews, Nylander, one of these guys ends up leaving, it would probably be in Brad Treliving's best interest to have one more opportunity at going for gold. Blasting past the first round, actually winning a second round, not getting embarrassed at the very least. And so, if you're talking about a Nick Robertson trade, there isn't a world where I feel like trading Robertson away is a good move. But if it's in some sort of a sweetener type deal, where you're using this as a chip to get Matt Murray off your team, free up some salary and get another guy on defense, or you're using Robertson straight up to trade for a better defender, then that makes sense. Robertson is a young guy with a lot of potential, and if everything works out, he's probably, at this point, a 20-goal, let's say 40-point guy. There was a period in time at the end of the 2019-ish season when we thought that Robertson maybe had even more potential than that, but as the years have gone on and he's been slowed down with injuries so much, you kind of have to temper your expectations a little bit, and that's not his fault. That's just circumstantially, you can't be too high on a guy after he's had shoulder surgery and missed all this time. He's been out since January. So there definitely isn't that same level of security with the way Robertson is able to play, but he is still talented enough that if you wanted to keep him around, it would make sense if you chose to do that too. So let me know your thoughts in the comment section below about Nick Robertson and the idea of trading him away in some sort of a Matt Murray deal. What are your thoughts about the idea of keeping Robertson on the team in general? What are your thoughts on trying to free up money other ways? If there are other options, let me know in the comments all your opinions of what Brad Treliving is capable of doing here. Do you think there's another move to be made? Do you think you have to default to trading Robertson? Do you want to trade Nick Robertson? That's another question as well, because I know for sure personally, I would love to see this guy thrive in Toronto, because it would have been the amazing story of a guy drafted in the second round and eventually forcing his way up in one of the best hockey markets, or one of the most crazy hockey markets. And then again, the entire argument of Caulfield versus Robertson, Montreal, Toronto would reignite, and that would be incredible to see for a second time, because we talked about that back when these guys were both prospects, but it's been kind of dead now ever since Caulfield has been a star and Robertson has been on the IR. So let me know your thoughts in the comment section below about this Nick Robertson trade idea. I hope you enjoyed this video. Again, this video is being recorded on July 5th, Wednesday, so if there is a Robertson trade between now, the time I'm talking on this microphone, and when this video goes up on YouTube, then I apologize, and bye.